Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us today. Today we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 64, The Deliverance of King Nṛga. Please join us in Jai Raga Madhav prayers. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha जय,
जय।
शिला प्रभुपाद की जय,
जय।
अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय,
जय।
निताय गो प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. So please join us in the recitation of the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 64, the deliverance of King Nṛga. Verse 1. Shri Bhadrayaniruvacha
श्रीमद्रायणीर्वाच
Ekado pavanam rajan
एकदो पवनं राजन्
Jagamur kumar kaha
जगमुर्यदु कुमारका
Vihartum sama pradyumna
विहर्तुं साम्ब प्रद्युम्न
Charu bhanu gadadayaha
चारु भानु गदादय
Please.
श्रीभद्रायणीरुवाच
Shri Bhadrayaniruvacha
एकदो पवनं राजन्
Ekado pavanam rajan
जगमुर्यदु कुमारका
Jagamur kumar kaha
विहर्तुं साम्ब प्रद्युम्न
Vihartum sama pradyumna
चारु भानु गदादय
Charu bhanu gadadayaha Shri Bhadrayani,
श्रीभद्रायणी
the son of Bhadrayan,
the son of Bhadrayan
Shukdev Goswami,
Shukdev Goswami
Uvacha,
Uvacha
said, Ekada,
Ekada
one day,
one day
Upavanam,
Upavanam
to a small forest,
to a small forest
Rajan,
Rajan
O King Parikshit,
O King Parikshit
Jagmuhu,
Jagmu
went, Yadu Kumarakaha,
Yadu Kumaraka
boys of the Yadu dynasty,
boys of the Yadu dynasty
Vihartum,
Vihartum
to play, Samba Pradyumna Charu Bhanu Gada Adayaha,
Samba Pradyumna Charu Bhanu Gada Adaya
Samba Pradyumna Charu Bhanu Gada and others.
Samba Pradyumna Charu Bhanu Gada and others.
Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shri Bhadrayani said, O King, one day Samba, Pradyumna, Charu, Bhanu, Gada and other young boys of the Yadu dynasty went to a small forest to play. Purport: Srila Sridhar Swami states that the story of King Nṛga narrated in this chapter is meant to give sober instructions to all proud kings. Through this incident, Lord Krishna also gave serious lessons to the members of his own family who had become proud of their opulences. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkripa Tadham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So now Shukdev Goswami is narrating the story of King Nṛga, the deliverance of King Nṛga to Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj, he was the emperor of the world, and he renounced everything and decided to fast for 7 days, 7 nights. Why did he decide to fast 7 days, 7 nights? Because he was cursed by a young Brahmin boy, Shringi, who cursed him to die in 7 days. And so we have elaborately explained earlier that Parikshit Maharaj, being influenced by Kali, he had put the dead snake on Shringi's father Shaunaka Rishi's neck when Shaunaka Rishi did not get up to greet him when he entered his hut, his ashram, to get some water. He was very thirsty because of wandering in the forest all day. Now, similar incidents are being identified here by the boys in the Yadu dynasty. And these are the eldest sons of Lord Krishna's prime queens. Pradyumna is his eldest son from Queen Rukmini. Bhanu is eldest from Satyabhama. So similarly, these boys, they were not just, half brothers, half cousins, they were also great friends. Yet at the same time, they had become very proud. And that pride can cause, some unwanted weeds to grow in the heart. Of course, this is also Leela, right? Pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. So we have to understand from that particular perspective, it is mainly for our instructions for us that we should take. From this chapter, we are able to derive 5 lessons. So 5 lessons we'll focus on because of the time that we have. Otherwise, this chapter, every chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam has unlimited lessons. And Srila Prabhupada once mentioned that his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, he spoke for 3 days continuously just on one verse. So you can imagine. And there are so many verses in this chapter. So there are unlimited lessons, but we'll focus on 5 lessons from this chapter. So I'll quickly narrate what are those 5 lessons, and then we'll be diving deep into each of those lessons. The first one is Karma Kanda. So performing pious activities in Karma Yoga leads to reactions, while engagement in Krishna consciousness, when one engages in devotion service, does not lead to reactions. So that is very important. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that one who performs pious activities has to enjoy the good reactions, right? Happiness that comes as a return. And one who has committed impious acts, sinful acts, they have to suffer those impious reactions. So they have to suffer, different kind of distresses are experienced. While one who engages in devotional service, also known as akarma. So pious activities, karma; impious activities, vikarma; and devotional activities are akarma. So one who engages in devotional service does not face reaction. So there is no reaction, rather there is only blessings. So engagement in devotional service leads to just blessings. And this is what unknowingly King Nṛga had performed, so that is called Agyat Sukriti. So an impious activity done unknowingly, and that as a devotional service bears, a great blessing of Lord Shri Krishna. Then the second lesson we hear is that the karmis are not intelligent. So even though this king, so why is it said that the karmis are not intelligent? Because even though the devotees try to give hints to the karmis, they don't take it. And here we will be also referring as why this King Nṛga, after his life, when he went to Yamlok, he was taken by Yamdutas to Yamlok to give the account of his pious and impious activities and to suffer the reactions. So in reality, in material world, there is only suffering. Sometimes people misinterpret that there is happiness in this material world. Actually, there is no happiness. But it appears so, while it's actually just suffering. And we'll discuss that as well at death. Then the third is Agyat Sukriti aspect, that the blessing of a devotee never go waste. So they also come to effect. In the previous lesson where we saw Lord Krishna fights with Banasur, he fought with Banasur not because Banasur had captured Aniruddha and then Lord Krishna had to get Aniruddha. No. The main reason was that Lord Shiva had given his statement to Banasur that one day he would be able to fight with someone who is equal to Lord Shiva. So actually, from that perspective, we see Lord Shiva as rhombus and then Lord Krishna is a square. So every square is a rhombus, but every rhombus is not also a square. Also, Shiv Tattva is different than Vishnu Tattva. And Lord Shiva himself agrees that, Lord Krishna is his Supreme Lord. So he is taking shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So to satisfy his devotee, Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna fought with Banasur. So that is a blessing of a devotee, or even a statement of a devotee, does not go waste. And then the fourth one is from the Karmakand principles. This is what Lord Krishna even tells his family members, that there is danger in usurping a Brahmana's property. So to take away a Brahmana's property is also, a great sin. And Acharyas explain that if somebody commits a sin by taking a Brahmana's property, then they have to be born as a worm in the fetus and live for 60,000 years. And here we'll hear as how King Nṛga, just for having done this unknowingly, means if somebody does it knowingly, you can imagine how more grievous that would be. However, King Nṛga, who was such a charitable king, right? And he did it unknowingly, and even then in the body of a lizard, he had to suffer for 4 yugas in a well before he was delivered by Lord Krishna himself. So that is Lord Krishna's causeless mercy. So when mercy is not invoked by learning shastras or, just even by worshipping, it's not invoked. And it's not invoked by doing all kind of charitable work and performing all kind of austerities, meditation and so forth. It is invoked through the blessings of the devotee, and it is causeless. Causeless is like there is no cause. If Lord Krishna desires, he can grant his mercy. So because of the causeless mercy of Lord Krishna, his duration was reduced.
Are you going to speak
King
about
Nṛga.
Sukriti also?
Yes, Agya Sukriti was earlier identified, yes. And then the fifth one is again very similar to the fourth one, which is actually saying even touching a Brahman's property without permission can destroy one's generations. So there is aspect of even touching another person's property can cause destruction to your generations. And there is an aspect given of 3 generations. But if somebody usurps, so just by touching without permission, you touch a Brahman's property, your 3 generations would suffer. 3 generations above, 3 generations below, and 3 of your expanded families, 3 levels. However, if you usurp a Brahman's property, if you take away a Brahman's property, if you steal away a Brahman's property, then 10 generations above you, 10 generations below you, and 10 generations, in not generations like expansion in your family relationships, up to 10 links, they have to suffer in Kumbhak hell. Now, Kumbhak hell, it's Kumbha. So you can imagine the body is the living entity when they are going in hell. To enable the experience of suffering, they're given different gross bodies. And so being conditioned, the living entity thinks of that I am this body, right? And that body is boiled in oil, in big, big kumbhas. Kumbhas are like big, big pots. And that kind of suffering is there. So there is no happiness. Sometimes people misinterpret that. And this reminds me of Srila Prabhupada. He was once going to the bank, and suddenly he sees this billboard and he laughs and he tells his disciples that, see, the billboard, what are they saying? Is there sex after life? So they are thinking that if there is sex after life, then we will be happy. If there is sex in this life, and if there is afterlife, first they don't want to believe if there is afterlife. And if by chance there is afterlife, if there is sex afterlife, then we will be happy. And then he gave a very nice story of a drunkard. Once a friend of a drunkard told his friend, the drunkard, that you drink so you would go to hell. So the drunkard said, well, my father also drinks. So the friend said, he will also go to hell. My brother also drinks, he will also go to hell. My uncle also drinks, he will also go to hell. So that way he was naming his family members. And his friend was saying, yes, they will also go to hell. Then the drunkard said, well, if I am drinking now and we are happy here, and if we are all there in hell, then it's not hell, it's heaven. So that is the, foolishness of a materialist who thinks that just because we are associated with the various relatives in this life and we are feeling happy now, doing all kind of abominable activities, and we are enjoying here, so after death, if we are together, then we'll definitely enjoy. Well, that is not the injunction of the Shastras. Shastras give you a shocking revelation. identifying the facts to us that there is nothing auspiciousness unless one engages in devotional service. And engaging in karma kand is for less intelligent people. And that is further shown by King Nṛga. So as this chapter goes, the sons of Lord Krishna, they were wandering. So vihartum, vihar, right? So vihartum, as they were playing and enjoying and wandering in this small forest. So as they were there, now this small forest happens to be on the Mount Revata. So we kind of like gave you guys a hint earlier that there is a Mount Revata that King Revata himself brought to Dwarka. So at that time Dwarka was known as by the name Anartha region. So we'll touch on that story if there is time at the end. So please remind me, Hare Krishna, that I have to cover this Mount Revata's story at the end. Yes.
Okay.
So here, these boys, they were looking for water. Now we remember, Parikshit Maharaj can immediately relate to this. He was thirsty after a whole day in the forest, wandering in the forest, and he was looking for water. And he found, the hut of Shaunaka Rishi. And so that's where he approached, and he was, he did the act that he did. So these boys, they were also looking for water. And as they were looking for water, they found a well. Well, when you see a well, that's a great sign, right? That there is water, possibility of getting water. So they came to the well. What do they see? There is no water in the well. Rather, there is an amazing creature, a lizard, stuck in the well. So they could understand that this lizard has been stuck here for quite some time and is suffering. So they could, being compassionate at heart. So Lord is Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. So He is the well-wisher. He is the benefactor of all living entities. So His sons, Pradyumna, Niruddha, Samba, Gada, Bhanu, all of them, they see and they feel compassion towards this living entity who is in the form of a lizard. So they go back home and they narrate this incident to Lord Krishna. Now, Acharyas also explained why they tried in various ways for this lizard to take it out from the well. However, since the lizard could only be taken out from the well by Lord Krishna, they could not take him out. So then they went to Lord Krishna, understanding the, what was the reason. So they went back, and when Lord Krishna heard that, there is a lizard stuck in a well. Hare Krishna. Oh yes. So by mistake I said that, Parikshit Maharaj, when he approached Shaunaka Rishi in his hut, and he saw that Shaunaka Rishi did not get up to greet him. Shamik was the son. Shringi was the son. Oh, Shamik Rishi, sorry, thank you. Shamik Rishi, because Shaunaka Rishi is at the Naimisharanya. He is the spokesperson of all the great sages to whom Sutta Goswami is narrating Srimad Bhagavatam. And it was Shamik Rishi who was in meditation, and since he did not get up, Parikshit Maharaj felt anger and he put a dead snake around the neck of Shamik Rishi. And Shringi was the son of Shamik Rishi who cursed the king to die in 7 days and 7 nights. Thank you. And so, Parikshit Maharaj could relate as how somebody feels thirst, yet at the same time the boys are showing by their attitude, even though they were thirsty, they felt compassion to the living entity. So imagine the tolerance they had. So this is even teaching us a lesson that sometimes our senses could bewilder us. And now all these boys, they went back and they narrated this, that there is this well on this small mountain in a small forest, and there is a lizard stuck there, it's in the well, it cannot come out. So Lord Krishna, he comes and he extends his left hand to a great length so that the lizard can be, taken out. And as soon as the lizard touches Lord Krishna's hand, gives up its body as a lizard and appears as a demigod, appears so nicely decorated, the golden body, a helmet shining like sun, and he's wearing all kind of ornaments, nicely dressed in silk clothes, and he is, his amazing glance on his face, he's smiling with his folded hands, he's looking at Lord Shri Krishna. And so Lord Shri Krishna, he knew that who this person is. Yet at the same time, he is asking so that the personality himself gets to share who he is and why he was in the form of a lizard. So Lord Krishna asks him, so if you feel it appropriate, please tell us why you were suffering in the body of a lizard in this well, and who you are, introduce yourself. So this is also, Lord Krishna himself is showing us that we should approach someone in such a humble manner with a mood of respect and honoring them, saying that if you feel, appropriate, not forcing others. Sometimes people say, well, if you are so and so, then you should be able to do this. And in their puny intelligence, they sometimes even say that Lord Krishna should be able to do this. Our intelligence is puny, he is unlimited. How can you even imagine what Lord Krishna is doing and why he is doing? It is only through the mercy of Acharyas that we get an insight to his pastimes. And by engaging in devotional service, we get that ability. And it is also because of Lord's causeless mercy. We only make endeavor, that's only the one half of what is there. The second is Lord's causeless mercy has to be there for us to be able to enter into his pastimes. And we hear this again and again, and that's why we take shelter of the instructions of the Acharyas, Anusharan, not Anukaran. Anukaran is imitating the actions of a elevated personality, while Anusharan is taking shelter at their lotus feet, understanding the instructions and carrying out the instructions of Acharyas, carrying out the instructions of spiritual master, carrying out the instructions of the devotees of Lord Krishna. So when we do that we are taking shelter. So this king, he is bowing his hand and he introduces himself. Now another thing is, this king, as he is introducing himself, you can see the arrogance sometimes. And a person who's a king, he's in a mode of passion. And mode of passion is all about name, fame and glories. So that's the characteristic of a Kshatriya. And he is saying that if you have heard Lord Krishna, he knows that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet he is finding it hard to give up his influence of the modes of material nature, the mode of passion. He's saying, if you have heard of persons who have given charity, then you must have heard my name. My name is King Nṛga. So in his previous life, he was King Nṛga. And then he's, Shukdev Goswami is explaining how elaborately he was charitable. So we refer to Karna as Danveer Karna. This King Nṛga was much more charitable than Karna was. It is said that as there are number of particles of sand on earth, as the number of stars in the sky, as the number of drops in the rain, that has fallen since time immemorial. So many cows this king had given in charity, and he had performed many other charitable activities. So that is, in the mode of passion he was doing. Why? Because he wanted to get name, fame and glories in his present life as a king, to be known as a charitable king, and also by giving charity, and he was giving charity to the Brahmanas. So that was one good thing he was doing. He was giving charity to the right person, right? Time, place and circumstances. Samay, Kal and Patra. So Kal is time. Samay is time. Kal and Patra is again what are the circumstances, and then who you are giving it to, Patra. So here, he is giving it to Brahmanas. So he was very much devoted to Brahmanas, and he was serving those Brahmanas, yet in the form of Karma Kanda. He was giving charity so that he gets to enjoy his future, life as a demigod. He wanted to go to heavenly planets. So he was hoping that by giving all this charity, he would go to heavenly planets and he would enjoy unlimited sense pleasure. That's the mindset. Yet he was charitable. And he is saying that once it just so happened that I used to give so much charity, and I would give young cows who had only had one calf. And I made sure that these young cows had their horns bedecked with gold, their hoofs covered with silver platings, and they were covered by nice silken clothes. And so they were given in charity to these brahmanas. Once it just so happened that one of the cow he had given in charity to a brahmana somehow wandered back into the lot from where he was giving the charity, his lot. And he gave the same cow along with other cows to another Brahman. And as soon as the Brahman accepted the charity and he was walking with that cow along with the other cows were given to him in charity, the Brahmana who was given this cow earlier in charity objected and stopped this Brahmana by saying, no, this cow was actually previously given to me in charity. How can you take this cow? It belongs to me. And then the second Brahmana said, but it has been given to me in charity by the king. So there was a big quarrel that ensued because of this confusion, this conflict. And nobody could decide. So they decided that actually king had given it in charity to the first Brahman, and now he has given the same cow in charity to the second Brahman. So let's go to the king, because he should be the one giving the solution, because he is the one who is the doer in this case. These people are only the receiver. So they went to the king and shared this. And the king, realizing the mistake that has occurred unknowingly, so this is unknowingly, agyat, right? He wasn't aware. If he was aware, he would never commit such a sin. But even unknowingly, he happened to have touched the property of the first Brahman and given it in charity to the second Brahman. So he did not keep it for himself. So think of what would happen if somebody keeps it for his own self, a Brahman's property. That would be such an abominable act and could cause, that's why the 10 generations above and 10 generations below, they are destroyed, means they are suffering in hell, they would suffer in hell. That injunction is in the Shastra. So it is very important for us to understand that never to touch the property of a Brahmana, even by mistake. If done, this king had to suffer. So the king, realizing that the great sin has been committed unknowingly, he is begging to those Brahmanas. He is saying that I am ready to give 100,000 similar cows to any one of you, so that you stay satisfied in return for this cow. So the first Brahman says, no, I only want this cow. If you can't give me this cow, then, I don't want 100,000 cows. So this is where a Brahmana can become unhappy and being incited because he was in a quarrel, and somehow it is that he was attached to that cow because that's what he received in charity. That kind of stuff happens by providence, right? We do not know what incites, what action on the part of another party. So this Brahmana became angry and he left. And the other Brahman also said, I also don't want 100,000 cows. And in anger, he also left. So now he has made two Brahmans very upset. And none of them took the cow. They were feeling that the king was, unjust. He was, he had not performed the charity in a rightful manner, in the rightful mindset. And he, usurped property of one and gave it to another. So he took the property of one, the cow, and gave it to the other Brahman. So after having performed such charity, amazing charity, somebody could say, how was he able to get Lord Krishna's mercy, to be able to see Lord Krishna face to face? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reveals the secret. What is the secret? How could a person engaged in Karma Kand was able to see Lord Krishna? In any activity in Karma Kand, there is no injunction that you will be able to see Lord Krishna face to face. So how is it possible that this king was able to see? Well, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentaries reveal the secret. When King Nṛga, he was so charitably disposed towards all the Brahmanas. Once a Brahman devotee approached him. Now, why would a Brahman devotee approach him? Would a Brahman devotee ever approach him for his sense gratification? No. A devotee is always focusing on serving Lord Krishna. So, for a devotee, Lord Krishna is in the center. And all endeavors, all activities, all prescribed duties are being performed to satisfy Lord Krishna. So it reminds me of a very nice, pastime from Srila Prabhupada's life itself. So when Srila Prabhupada, he was shown a picture of a yogi who was given a large amount, who was being offered a large amount of wealth on a platter. And he was holding his hand back, saying that I have nothing to do with the wealth of this world. Srila Prabhupada smiled and he said, if you bring that platter to me and I'll go like this. Why? Because I will use every single penny in the service of Lord Krishna. And that is the mood of a devotee. A devotee is always engaging everything because Bhoktaram Yagatapsam Sarvalok Maheshwaram. So Lord is the proprietor of everything, all these material universes, spiritual universes. So everything should be engaged in Lord Krishna's service. So a devotee engages everything to please Lord Krishna. And when Lord Krishna is pleased, then everyone is happy. That is the mood of a devotee. So even if a devotee, approaches other, personalities, a rich person or a person who has some capabilities, then they want that person's capabilities to be engaged in devotional service. That's why we go out on Harinam, we go out on book distribution, we go out and encouraging people to read Bhagavad Gita, encouraging everyone to join us in study of Srimad Bhagavatam, because just by studying of Srimad Bhagavatam, of Bhagavad Gita, and understanding the essence of these transcendental scriptures, one gets amazing blessing, and we want to share this blessing. So it is known that when you share happiness, it multiplies. When you share, a distressful state, then it divides when somebody is going through that. So here, when you share transcendental literature, it increases the bliss and the blessings all around the world, all around the universe. That's why we love to study Srimad Bhagavatam. We love to share it with other devotees. And that's why this transcendental scripture is again and again studied by the devotees and shared with others. And of course, in Brahad Purnima time, there is an amazing blessing that if you gift Srimad Bhagavatam to others, then your space in Vaikuntha is guaranteed. So again, this is where the scripture says that you will attain. And it is not just that you keep this as it is. So Bhagavad Gita, sometimes people, they read Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavad Gita is titled as Bhagavad Gita as it is, translated by Srila Prabhupada. So people keep it as it is on the shelf. Let's just leave it as it is. No, that is not the purpose. Of course, you will still receive some benefit for having taken that Bhagavad Gita and keeping it in your house. Some Agyat Sukriti is there. But the true blessing comes when you open it up and you start reading it. And especially when you start reading Srila Prabhupada's purports, which are his transcendental ecstasies. Then you get amazing realizations and you are able to relate to your life itself. Mahatma Gandhi says that every time he feels this, in a state of bewilderment, in anxiety, he opens a Bhagavad Gita and he will find a verse that would calm him down. So this is what his realizations were. So similarly, when you read Bhagavad Gita, you get your own realizations. And it makes you understand what is the purpose of life, who we are, why are we here, why am I suffering? What is the purpose of this life? Why am I going through these changes of body while internally I know that I am a still young and energized person? Why are my senses failing me? All these questions are answered. Why is there so much quarrel out there? Why is there so much suffering out there? Why are people feeling so distressed? Why are bad things happening to good people? Why is life so hard? All these questions, and there are innumerable questions you ask. Why is it happening to me? Sometimes we feel. I'm doing all good and that person is doing all bad. Why is he getting all kind of, benedictions? Why is he getting promotions and why is she getting blessings? All those things, these are all answered in these scriptures when you take to your heart, when you study them. Not just browsing through and reading, even that is beneficial, but to get the true essence from the scripture is studying it in the association of devotees who have been surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So when you hear it from a devotee, when you hear it from others who have been serving Lord Krishna, then you get amazing blessings. So here, we were looking at the story, right? That King Nṛga, yes.
Krishna came.
So here it is very nicely given that when we are engaged in devotional service, we get amazing blessings. And devotional service starts simply with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
You also wanted to share another story, King Nṛga's story.
Yes, at the end, I'll tell you. When I'll cover the 5th lesson, then we'll discuss that. Hare Krishna. So here, it is very nicely described. So Srila Prabhupada, he said that he would put his hand around the well. So we covered that particular aspect, because he will engage everything in Lord Krishna's service. So we were answering the question as, how could King Nṛga was able to see Lord Krishna? What did he do? So once a devotee Brahman had approached King Nṛga, and he made a request to King Nṛga that he would like to make, the Brahman would like to make a nice temple for a beautiful deity of Lord Krishna. So he wanted to install Shri Radha Krishna in this temple and worship them. And he also wanted to distribute Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So he requested the king to get the copies of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam so that they can be distributed. So unknowingly, because this King Nṛga was disposed nicely towards Brahmanas, he wanted to give charity. He established a beautiful temple for this Brahman devotee. And then he also got the copies of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and delivered it to the devotee so the devotee could, distribute it to other living entities, to other human beings, and enlighten them in this transcendental knowledge. So unknowingly, agyat, sukriti, pious activity, and unknowingly he had performed a pious activity which is in the mood of devotional service. He did not know that he is serving. So there was a blessing he receives from this Brahman. The Brahman was very happy at this nice charitable mood of the king, and he said, one day you will be able to see Lord Krishna face to face. Now that is the reason why Lord Krishna sees him face to face. So the blessing of a devotee, the words of a devotee never go in vain. They never go waste. And so King Nṛga is able to see Lord Krishna. Now he is in a demigod form. He is, in this effulgent form as of a demigod. So he is continuing to narrate that because of that, when I got this lizard body, I was constantly thinking of you. So I was meditating on you, because he was meditating on that blessing of a Brahman. So many times we get various blessings as we perform various pious acts. But a blessing of a devotee, it takes a spatial space in our heart, in our heart. It helps Lord to appear. So here, of course, Lord is in the heart of all living entities as super soul, as Paramatma. Yet that's an expansion of Lord, right? He expands into Paramatma feature, Shirodakshai Vishnu. Well, he himself comes and resides in the heart of a devotee. Now here, as King Nṛga is explaining that a sin had been performed and the two Brahmanas, they walked away. So at the end of his life, he was taken to Yamlok. And there, Lord Yama, Samyami, that's another name for Yamraj. So he asked Chitragupta, his secretary, to give the account of King Nṛga. So Chitragupta gives this account that this King Nṛga has performed so much charity, and we talked about it when King Nṛga himself explained to Lord Krishna that as there are grains of sand on this earth, or as there have been number of drops in a rainfall, or as there are number of stars in the sky, which is unlimited. Yet at the same time he has performed, he has committed one sin, unknowingly. So that is also there, it's a gap. Unknowingly committed this sin. And he tried to rectify but could not get a solution. So Yamraj gives a hint to the king that you have performed so much pious activities. So which one would you like to suffer most? The reaction of your sin or the reaction of your pious activities? He gave him a hint that if the king selects the reaction of his pious activities, the good deeds he had performed by charity, giving charity to the Brahmanas, then he has performed so much charitable acts that it would be till infinity. He would never, it would never end. Yet at the same time, this is the case of a karmakandi, one who is engaged in karmakand, less intelligent person. The king did not get the hint. So he selected that he wants to suffer first the reaction of his impious activity, the sin he had committed unknowingly. And Yamraj immediately converted him into a lizard. Srila Prabhupada explains that the king was not very intelligent. Why? Because there is also another reference where if he had taken the hint that Yamraj had given to enjoy as a demigod, he would have an opportunity to perform, engagement in devotional service and could have very well gone back home and not had to suffer in the body of a lizard. The king happened to have selected the impious activity as less intelligent. In this regard, there is another very nice story given in the scriptures. Amrish Maharaj had a brother. And while Amrish Maharaj, and we know that Amrish Maharaj engaged all his prescribed duties in serving Lord Krishna. So, yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhoshi tadasi yat tapasyasi kanti yat tat kurishva madapranam. Lord Krishna reveals to Arjuna that whatever you do, whatever you actually perform, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, do all activities as an offering to me. So all our prescribed duties that are related to this body should also be done with Lord Krishna in the center. So it is not that I have to do my prescribed duty and then I have to do my devotional service. No, you can change your mindset to do your prescribed duties in the mood of devotion to Lord Krishna. And that would purify us, right? Not like this king, when he was doing charity, he was seeking sense gratification. That was his another less intelligent aspect. If he was doing the same charity, because he had the right mindset of giving it to Brahmanas, but if he had done it with that mindset, so even the mindset change matters. The act may be the same, but what's your mindset? Are you trying to satisfy Lord Krishna or are you trying to satisfy your senses? He was seeking to satisfy his senses. So that was not devotional service. That was Sukriti, that was pious act, but for his own sense gratification, for his own enjoyment. Sometimes in this material world we see people do that, right? People who are billionaires, they go out and donate $1 million to build a hospital or to do some charitable acts. That is just to get their name, fame and glories. They want to get name, fame and glories when they are on this earth, and then after the life also they want to enjoy in the heavenly planets. So that is their mindset, a less intelligent person. While if the same charity is being given to a Brahmana who is a devotee of Lord Krishna, then it is for the right purpose. Because the devotee will use every single penny in engaging in the service of Lord Krishna, in satisfying Lord Krishna. And further, in expanding this movement of Krishna consciousness, just like Srila Prabhupada did. A devotee would use all the facilities in spreading Krishna consciousness all around the world. And the process is so simple. All you have to do is raise your hand and chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is where it starts, by chanting of the holy name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shishtastika reveals to us, Cheto Darpanamajanam Bhav Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitarnam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So again, this is continues on and on. So again, the most important part is Cheto Darpamarjanam, that it cleanses the dust on the mirror of our heart. And when dust is cleaned from the mirror, then you can see your reflection in the mirror, and you know that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And Jivera Sarupoya Krishna Nityadas. So the constitutional position of a living entity, what is it? It is to serve Lord Krishna eternally. So that is what gives us happiness, what satisfies us, what gives us bliss, the transcendental bliss, and makes us peaceful. So a devotee spreads Krishna consciousness. So that is the mood of a devotee. And Srila Prabhupada always set an example that when a devotee is spreading it, that is to satisfy his spiritual master. All Srila Prabhupada did, he always said, was to satisfy his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. So this is the mood of a devotee, that is not doing it for like, I am a great devotee and I am doing it so and so. We also heard this in the case of Arishta. So sometimes people become proud. So he appeared as a bull, right? And a bull in Vedic culture is honorable, but he is appearing in this proud mode. So when you hear about Arishta, so this propensity goes away of thinking oneself to be a great devotee or a very proud devotee and a very proud person who is doing very great devotional service and so on, so on. Devotional service is always performed in the mood of humility and tolerance, with great tolerance, and not expecting any respect from others. So that is the mood of a devotee, how a devotee performs devotional service. So here King Nṛga, he decided, he did not get the hint properly. So again we are talking about the story of Amrish Maharaj. He had a brother who was very sinful, just opposite of Amrish Maharaj, So on the range, while Amrish Maharaj was a perfect devotee, he was a perfect non-devotee, rather, a perfect karmi. And this brother of Amrish Maharaj was engaging in all kind of abominable activities, drinking wine, associating with women, plundering wealth, and taking wealth from others, all kind of sinful activities you can think of. So Devashi Narad once visited Amrish Maharaj. So Amrish Maharaj requested Devashi Narad. What was his request? He said, Devashi Narad, you are so nicely delivering so many living entities. Why don't you give your mercy to my brother? Right? So this is a compassion of Amrish Maharaj, that he's thinking about his brother who is so sinful, engaged in all kind of lusty deeds. So Devashi Narad, looking at Amrish Maharaj, hearing his sincere plea, he decides to visit his brother. Devashi Narad would not have visited his brother otherwise. It is the mercy of a devotee that another great devotee, a transcendentalist, visiting and giving mercy to other living entities. So Devashi Narad, he goes to the palace of Amrish Maharaj's brother. And as soon as Amrish Maharaj's brother, he hears Narayan, Narayan, he's angry and he's rebuking Devashi Narad to leave immediately. And Devashi Narad is saying, just let me explain to you, your brother sent me. And he's saying, I don't like my brother, you just go away. And Devashi Narad is making a request, so his brother gets upset. Amrish Maharaj's brother gets upset. He picks up his mace, gada, the club, and he runs after Devashi Narad. Now Devashi Narad is seeing this king running after him to hit him with a club. So Devashi Narad starts running. So both of them are running, right? And they're running for a long distance. Finally the king gets, becomes tired. And he is like, putting his hand on his knees. He's trying to rest. He's trying to regain his strength so that he can chase Devashi Narad. And Devashi Narad at that time smiles and turns back. He says, okay, I will leave. But if you are taken to Yamraj, ask him what is the benefit one gets by the nimitta matram, by the momentary association of a saintly person, love matram. So there is a saying in the Shastras, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sarva Sangha, Sarva Shastra Gaya, Love Mata Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Haya. So that is the moral of this story. I'm giving you the moral a little early. Because this brother, he says, okay, just go. And then he turns back. But he remembers this verse of Devashi Narad, that if he is taken to Yamlok, in front of Yamraj, he can ask this question. So lo behold, everyone dies who has taken birth, so this king also dies, and he is taken by the Yamdutas, that he has committed unlimited sin, so he'll be suffering for eternity in the hellish region, in various kind of hells, 8.4 million hells. So he's taken there, and as Yamaraj is asking Chitragupta, his secretary, tell me about the account, he hears that this king has performed unlimited sins, so he'll be suffering for eternity. However, Chitragupta reveals that he has performed this one pious act, right? He has had association of a devotee. And so Yamaraj says, what do you want to ask? You have had this association. The king remembers the question he has to ask. He says, I want to know what is the result of a love matra sadhu sangha, a momentary association with a saintly person. And Yamaraj, who is one of the Mahajanas, he is perplexed. He doesn't know the answer. He should know, but he doesn't know the answer. What is the benefit one gets for love matra sadhu sangha? So he says, okay, let's go to Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma and so forth. There are great personalities who are above him. So he goes. Lord Shiva is not able to answer that what is the benefit one gets by a momentary association of a devotee. Lord Brahma is not able to answer. He is the first living entity of this material world. He is not able to answer that the benefit one gets by a momentary association of a devotee. So they all go to Kshisagar. And at that time, once again, we always hear that at Kshisagar, Lord Brahma meditates on Lord Vishnu in his heart, and Lord allows, response from the heart of Brahma. Hridaya Adikave. So he gives the instruction from heart of Lord Brahma to Lord Brahma. So that's how Lord Brahma receives. So he receives the instruction to send the king to the Kshisagar, the Vaikuntha. So now the king is going to Vaikuntha to ask this question, because he was the one who originally had the question. So he goes to Vaikuntha, and seeing him, Lord Vishnu is smiling. And everyone is perplexed. Why is Lord Vishnu smiling? Lord Vishnu says that he is smiling because now even he, Lord Vishnu himself, cannot ask the king to leave Vaikuntha. He has entered Vaikuntha. So that is the benediction one gets for momentary association of a saintly person. So when you associate with a saintly person, even in today's time, with the help of Shriman Zoom, you can associate with so many saintly persons so easily. Why leave this opportunity? Be blessed. Get this unlimited transcendental blessings that come our way to destroy all the sufferings, all the anxiety, all the stresses of this material world, and get established in your original constitutional position. So we, even at such times of lockdown, have to, regard this is a Gyat Sukriti being performed by the various materialists who are engaged in different activities, like providing us Facebook, providing us WhatsApp, providing us Zoom, WebEx and all these virtual tools through which Lord's glories can be discussed, His name form activities, pastimes can be spread around the world. And more people are becoming Krishna conscious at this time than ever before. So this is amazing blessing, where the constant pravachans, the constant discourses on Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Lord's pastimes and His devotees' pastimes are being discussed. And everyone is feeling tushyanticha ramanticha. They are feeling satisfied in their heart and they are experiencing transcendental bliss just by doing this. So you can imagine that King Nṛga, when he was given the hint by Yamaraj, he did not get the right hint, because this incident had already happened in the past. And Yamaraj knew that he had served a devotee. So what to talk about a momentary association? He served a devotee by making a temple of Lord Shri Krishna, by distributing the transcendental scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So his time duration in heavenly planets, and even later on, because of that act, Agyat Sukriti, he would be able to go back home. And he doesn't have to suffer. Now, sometimes people have this mindset that I performed this sin and I performed this pious activity, they would nullify each other. That is not there. So this pastime also reveals that just because you perform a sin, by performing a karamukand, a pious activity, would not nullify that. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita reveal it very clearly. We actually have three accounts. First account is of pious activity. So if you perform a pious activity in the form of karamukand, coming from Vedas, scriptures and so forth, a pious activity, you get reactions a positive reaction where you get to enjoy in this material world. So that is the enjoyment of the senses, not really enjoyment of the soul. Then impious activities, sinful actions. If someone performs impious activities, sinful activities, what to talk about grievous impious activity of touching a Brahman's property or snatching away Brahman's property, then you have to suffer the reactions in this material world. So again, you have to suffer in hellish conditions. So the pious activity, Devan, Deva Yajo Yanti. So the demigod worshippers go to the planets of demigods, and that's where they enjoy the reactions of their pious activity. But at the end, they come back to this earth. Impious activities, sinful reactions, one has to suffer in various kind of hells. And then, they get the bodies accordingly. And then the third one is devotional activities. These are akarmas. So this is a third account. In the third account, when you engage in devotional service, this account doesn't have any reaction. However, this account gets you the wealth that goes on for life after life after life, and enables you to go back home, back to Godhead, to achieve the purpose of this life. Now, sometimes people say that the purpose of this life, the Shastras, for even less intelligent people who are demigod worshippers, they reveal that people are constantly suffering or seeking enjoyment. So maybe it's attractive to them to realize that there is a spiritual world where you go and there's no more suffering. It's called Vaikuntha, right? Kuntha means distress or anxiety causing distress. So Vaikuntha, which is devoid of any distress, any suffering. So that is spiritual world. Even greater than this mood is to understand that we experience transcendental bliss. So how do you experience transcendental bliss? Your suffering has stopped, but you are at level 0. You are not negative. But you want to be plus infinity. How do you experience that transcendental bliss? By engaging in devotional service. So when you go back to Vaikuntha, you should go with this mood set that I want to engage in devotional service. And we all know that if you want to get that position of a devotee, then you have to start practicing now, in this life itself. Take to devotional service. We simply start with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now Prahlad Maharaj discusses in his statement to his father that there are 9 processes of devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami is even more merciful. He talks about 64 ways one can engage in devotional service. And of them, 5 are the most potent forms of devotional service. And they are so potent. Why are they most potent? That even a neophyte who is not a devotee, who is beginning to have just a little faith in Lord Krishna, he can experience prema, the topmost transcendental bliss of devotional service, just by engagement in these 5 activities, these 5 processes of devotional service. What are these activities? Let's start with the best one that we are doing right now. Studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, it is very important. The best is, of course, sadhu sangha, right? The association of devotees. So when we do any of these activities, we can do it in association of devotees. That is the best, yes. So this is one of them. Studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Worshipping deities. Shri Radha Krishna, that's the second one. Third one is chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Fourth, association of the devotees. And fifth is living in a dham. And in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna reveals that for a beginning devotee, or even for a non-devotee, they should take to worship of Lord Krishna. And we should even put a picture of Shri Radha Krishna and show them lamp every evening. We offer them whatever we cook. So everything should be dovetailed towards Lord Krishna. So not that you have to now go out and get a deity in a brass form. It is not possible. So you can always take a picture of Shri Radha Krishna and put them and create a simple altar and make every offering to please them. Read the scriptures in the association of devotees. Chant in the association of devotees. Yes? Yes, and all this has to be done under the guidance of a spiritual master. That is very essential. So, tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya uddekshanti tajjnanam jnanenas tattvadarshina. So there is a process, vidhi. And what is the process? That one should take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and serve them very nicely, following their instructions and inquire from them, what is the purpose? Why am I here? Why am I suffering? How can I get out of this suffering? How can I experience transcendental bliss? Because that is the true mood of a devotee. And that comes by serving Lord Krishna, by spreading his name, fame, glories and pastimes all around the world, by making other Krishna conscious as well. Yes?
So how is blessings of devotee related?
Yes. So here, the blessing of a devotee. So this Brahmana had given this benediction, this blessing to King Nṛga, that one day you will be able to see Lord Krishna face to face. And that is why he was able to see Lord Krishna face to face. And he was thinking in the body of a lizard when he became lizard, and he was there for 4 yugas, it is explained. So you can imagine. And this Acharya's explanation, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Jiva Goswami, they give a very nice, elaborate commentaries on this particular situation this king was in. He was in an andhakupam, right? He was in a dark well. Nobody was coming to his rescue, and he was not, able to get out of this well. That is our state as living entities. We are in this material world, like in the body of a lizard. We are suffering, and this material world is said to be andhakupam, a dark well where we are trapped and there is no way to get out. However, when Lord Krishna, he comes and he extends his hand, right, to pick us up. However, this mercy of Lord Krishna extending his hand is not happening just on its own. It's causeless mercy, yes, but it's also because Lord Krishna wants to satisfy, please his devotee. The blessing that his devotee had given to King Nṛga, that one day he would be able to see Lord Krishna face to face. So when King Nṛga, he realizes that it was the mercy of that devotee that invoked the mercy of Lordship. That's why when we were in school, we heard this, right? Guru Govind dono khade kake lagu paye, balihari Guru apanu Govindiyo milay. So when Lord Krishna and the spiritual master both are standing in front of me, and there could be a dilemma in the heart of a devotee, a disciple, who to bow down to first. Then the devotee should bow down first to the spiritual master, who's constantly serving Lord Krishna. So that is also a qualification of spiritual master, who is constantly serving Lord Krishna. So bow down to the spiritual master, because it is by the mercy of the spiritual master that one is able to see Lord Krishna, have the association of Lord Krishna. So it is by the mercy of that devotee, Brahman devotee, that King Nṛga was able to see Lord Krishna face to face. Such an amazing transcendental experience he's having. And also in Karma Kanda, how people are less intelligent, that has also been explained. And how this king, he is still somewhat proud. Yet at the same time, by the mercy of that Agyat Sukriti, Adho Sadhu Tatha Sadhu Sangha Atha Bhajana Kriya, then Anartha Nivriti Syat. So this is the process of devotion service. So when you engage in devotional service, then it starts with little faith, which causes you to get in association of devotees. When you take shelter of a spiritual master, then you are engaging in worship process, worshipping Lordship, bhajana kriya. Bhajan is much more than worship. Bhajan is basically, it can expand into those 64 forms of devotional services, like Srila Rupa Goswami says. And so, bhajana kriya, and what happens in bhajana kriya? Anartha nivriti. All the anarthas, they are taken away. So in the soft soil of our heart, very fertile soil of our heart, the beej is, sowed of Bhakti Lata Beej, the seed of devotion, and so it sprouts, and the Bhakti Lata comes out and expands through, penetrates through the material layers and rests at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna in the spiritual realm. And that is simply done, the watering and nourishment is done by chanting and hearing. So by the chanting process of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and constantly attentively hearing of chanting, of scriptures, reading Bhagavad Gita, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing from devotees the various pastimes of Lord Krishna. So, and also the great devotees of Lord Himself. So, when we hear about the pastimes of devotees of Lord Krishna, then Lord Krishna smiles. He becomes more merciful. So, that is also something we should take to. Now, here, King Nṛga, anarthas are going away, which is given by this sign. Acharya has explained that out of nowhere, because of that mercy of the devotee, he was able to remember his previous birth, even in the body of a lizard. He did not forget his birth. So that is also causeless mercy. And remembering that and finally able to see Lord Krishna, he asked for benediction. He asked that, Lord, please give me the benediction that I may never forget about you ever. So that is a true benediction, because this is a true blessing he is seeking. And Lord Krishna smiles. So he has suddenly become a great devotee, because that is a mood of a devotee. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Right? That is a smart word. Smartavya satatam Vishnu, vismartavya na jatu chit, sarve vidhi nishedasyu kinkaraha. Always remember Krishna. Smartavya satatam Vishnu. Always remember Krishna. Vismartavya na jatu chit. Never forget Krishna. Sarve vidhi nishedasyu kinkaraha. All other processes and prohibitions and engagements are just kinkara, subservient of these two principles. So what are the two principles? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So these two principles. So he is asking for this supreme benediction, and Lord is smiling, granting him that. And now the demigods' planes have arrived, and they take King Nṛga along with them so that he can go back to the heavenly planets and enjoy. But is he going to enjoy? No. He is going to engage in devotional service, because he has been blessed. He is experiencing transcendental bliss. The bliss of heavenly planet is nowhere. The happiness of heavenly planet is nowhere in front of the transcendental bliss this King Nṛga is going to get, because of the blessing he has received from Lord Krishna, which has been invoked by the blessing of that Brahma devotee. So also in this Kali age, it is said that Brahmana would be just identified by their Janevu. So you have to also be very careful in selecting a Brahman. So you should seek a Brahman for charity who is engaged in devotional service of Lord Krishna, who is working to satisfy Lord Krishna, who is working to satisfy his spiritual master, and whose spiritual master is in the parampara system, who is a bona fide spiritual master. So you should always engage in serving such devotees, giving charity to such devotees, not to any person who is wearing a Janevu and you say. There's many times we have seen, the first thing some of the pujaris are called, and the first thing they ask is, for tea and coffee. And then the next thing you see is they're taking out the tambaku and they're patting on it on the palm. And these are the things which are abominable for a Brahmana. So they are Brahmana in name only. They are actually Brahman Bandhu. They may have been born in the family of a Brahman. And in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna reveals that such a person is again, when we are born in a specific Varna, so again in a family, it doesn't describe our Varna, because our Varnas are described by the nature, mode of material nature influencing us, and also by our activities. Chaturvarnam maya shishtam guna karma vibhagasha. So Lord Krishna is revealing to Arjuna and to us that Chaturvarna, the four Varnas, are established by him, Lord Krishna himself. Maya shishtam has been established by me. Guna karma vibhagasha. And how are they divided? How are the different human beings divided in these four varnas? Based on guna and karma. In 7th chapter there is a reference given that a devotee who has not attained perfection, but in the beginning stage, gets birth in an aristocratic family so that he has an opportunity. And a devotee who has made some advancement gets birth in the family of a transcendentalist, because he will get that opportunity to pick up his journey where he left off. Yet at the same time, if one does not use that opportunity, does not engage in devotional service, then they are just Brahman Bandhus, if one is born in a family of a Brahman. So again, there's so much more can be said on this particular topic itself. However, here we hear as how King Nṛga, he goes back to the heavenly planets, engaging in devotional service. And Lord Krishna at that time instructs his own sons and his family members that one should take great lessons from this King Nṛga's life, where touching a Brahman's property without asking for permission, without the permission, can cause 3 generations to suffer. And if taking away Brahman's property, even unknowingly, just like the King Nṛga, can make not just one's family members suffer, but one's ancestors, people who are before him, to 10 generations and future 10 generations, and 10 links in the family, they all suffer. So that's why in the Vedic times, when kings, they would ask for taxes. They would never ask taxes from a Brahman. Brahman were never taxed, because they knew that these Brahmans, whatever they're getting, they're engaging everything in Lord Krishna's service. So that is the culture. And not like today's Brahman who are, smoking ganjas at times and doing abominable activities. We have to be very careful to look out a Brahman who is, a bona fide Brahman also, right? Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samah sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. So who is a Brahman? So again, in a general form, we can understand. In Bhagavad Gita, this definition has been given. Brahma bhuta prasannatma. A Brahman is situated in a Brahman state. And what's that Brahman state? He is prasannatma. He is always satisfied and always smiling, right? He is satisfied in whatever condition he is living in. When he is being given riches, he is equipoised. When he is given nothing, he is equipoised. Whatever is coming, he is taking it as coming from Lord Shri Krishna, and he is accepting it with that mood. Now Parikshit Maharaj is able to relate it because he is in that mood right there. Prasannatma. Na shochiti na kankshati. Shochiti is like lamenting about the past. Is not living in the past, lamenting about things. Na kankshati, not having any akanksha, which is aspirations for the future. So he doesn't live in the past and doesn't live in the future. Rather, he lives in the present moment. Samah sarveshu bhutechu. And is equally disposed towards all living entities. Mad bhakti labhate param. And constantly engage in the devotional service of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is how you understand who a Brahman is. So you will look for a bona fide Brahman who's constantly engaged in serving Lord Krishna. And with that mood, he is always engaged in spreading and discussing the glories of Lord Krishna's name, form, activities and pastimes. So Lord Krishna himself is instructing his family members not to touch a Brahman's property. And what to talk about snatching it away. So one has to be very, very careful. So this is where we covered the lessons today. Karma Kanda is being performed by people who are less intelligent, and they are reactions. And when people who are engaged in Karma Kanda activities, it is like razor sharp. When you are shaving yourself, if you are careful, you have a nice result. But if you are not careful, you can get a big scar or a cut that can bleed profusely. So we have to be very, very careful of karma kanda, just like this king performed in Agyasakriti. So karmis are not very intelligent. Even when devotees approach them, they are not being very intelligent. So you should understand why a devotee is approaching and should, reciprocate accordingly. And a blessing of a devotee, number 3 is blessing of devotee never go in waste. So they always show results to benefit us in all manners. And 4th is the danger of usurping a Brahman's property. And 5th is to even touching a Brahman's property is very sinful, will cause us to suffer heavily. So these were the 5 lessons. Now we also want to cover the Nṛga Kupa, this well where King Nṛga was living in the form of a lizard. Now there are blessings in the Shastras that if one perform a yajna at a Nṛga Kupa, at the well where the King Nṛga was delivered from the body of a lizard, even one yajna will give you the results of 1,000,000 yajnas, 100 million yajnas actually. So you can imagine. And what is the best yajna for this age? Sankirtan yajna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And Lord Krishna says, of all the sacrifices and the chanting of the holy name. He's identifying it right there. So the best sacrifice is chanting of the holy name. So how does this Nṛga came into being. So this was at this mount. So once upon a time, we are talking about this Mount Revata. So once upon a time, there used to be a sage by the name Medhavi, Sage Medhavi. So Medhavi Muni was very nicely living in Vindhya Hills area and in his ashram, meditating on Lord Krishna. So this is Sakti Yoga, Krita Yoga, Dhyayate Vishnu. So one can attain perfection by meditating on Lord Vishnu. So he was meditating, and it just so happened that another great sage came to his ashram. The name of the sage who came to his ashram is Apa Antaratma. Apa Antaratma came and he saw that sage Medhavi Muni has not, gotten up from his seat to greet me. So he became furious. He said, "You're sitting like a mountain, you become a mountain." And Medhavi Muni, he simply bowing his hand, asking forgiveness, he accepted as such. So it just so happened that Medhavi Muni is born as son of Mount Shaila. So Mount Shaila has only one son. This is, Medhavi Muni appearing as his son. Now Medhavi Muni, by the dint of his devotional service, by meditation in Satya Yoga, he is able to remember his life, and he is thinking of his abominable state in the life of in the body of a mount, as a mountain. So once it just so happened that he hears the glories of Dwarka as Devashi Narad was passing. So Devashi Narad is Trikaligya. He can see past, present and future, just like Shukdev Goswami has been identified by Parikshit Maharaj, that he can see in the future as well as in the past and know everything in the present. So he is singing glories of Dwarka. And at that time, this mount, he says that, "Oh, it would be so nice if I could, have this darshan of Dwarka, or what about if I could just live there, if I could reside there." So Devashi Narad, thinking this is a very nice wish, he tells to this mount, Medhavi Muni, appearing in this mountain form, that I will go and talk to King Revata. He is a very magnanimous king, so maybe he can get you, he can move you to another state, right? So Devashi Narad, he takes this message from this mountain, Medhavi Muni, to King Revata, who is living in another state, another region, which is, this region is from Vaikuntha, right? We talked about King Anatha's story earlier. So this is part of Vaikuntha. So he goes and reveals this to King Revata. King Revata is hearing about this Medhavi Muni, who was cursed to be a mountain, is, wants to come, and he says that there is no mountain in another state, right, in this region. So it would be very nice to have a mountain. So he says, I will go and I will bring this mountain to another state. Now Devashi Narad, sometimes he is very mischievous, and sometimes he does that just to glorify the devotees of Lord Krishna. Devashi Narad goes to who? Mount Shaila. He's saying that King Revat is coming to kidnap your son. King Shaila has only, Mount Revat has only one son. This is Medhavi Muni appearing as mountain, as his son. So he is perplexed and he is feeling anxiety. That Devashi Narad has told me this, so it cannot be untrue. It's not a rumor. He is definitely coming to kidnap my son. But I may not be able to stop him alone. So I have to go to my kingsmen. I have to go to my, those who are in my side. So he approaches Mount Himalaya mountain and Mandara mountain. So he is saying, and Sumeri mountains, so many mountains he's approaching, and he's saying, I only have one son. And I have just heard from Devashi Narad that King Revata is going to kidnap my son and take him away from me. And I'm very much attached to my son, so you should do something. How would you feel if your sons are taken away? So they, thinking that this Mount Shaila is our, kingsman, we should help him. So they decide to help and stop King Revata. And of course Mount Everest says, don't worry, we'll scare him off, no problem. So when King Revat comes to pick up this mountain, whose in previous life was Medhavi Muni, as he picks him up with both his hands above his shoulder, all these mountains, they appear. So in the old times, these mountains, they used to fly up in the sky, and they are living entities. That's why Mount Everest still is increasing in its size, just that they perform so many sinful acts that they lost that power, that mystic power of flying, and they became stationary on earth. So they became immovable, non-moving objects now. Yet not objects, they're still living entities. So here, King Revata, seeing all these mountains appearing with different kind of weapons in front of him, he laughs loudly. When he laughs, his laugh is so shocking, like a big thunder falling on the mountains. And you know what happens when thunder, Vraj, means Indra destroys the peak of the mountains by his Vajra, thunderbolt. So when he laughs, it's like a thunderbolt to these mountains. So all their weapons immediately drop off their hands. Yet at the same time, they try to stop King Revat, who is carrying this mountain in both his hands. So he's carrying this mountain in his hands. And he is walking, yet at the same time the mountains are making it difficult to step, forward. Yet at the same time, he is pushing them with his knees and kicking them and moving along. They are not able to stop. Yet at the same time, he is getting tired. At that time, because he is serving a devotee, Medhavi Muni, Lord Krishna appears in the sky. And he says, don't be afraid to King Revat. And he gives his strength to King Revat. He passes on this strength. So sometimes people, they mock about this fact. Now how could somebody pass on their strength to another person? Well, this has been again explained in the Shastras. Many examples have been given. When Hiranyaksh had taken earth, right? Hiranya means gold. Aksh means he was always looking for gold. Hiranyaksh was named because he was always looking for gold, and he did so much gold mining that the earth fell out of its orbit, becoming unstable, and fell into the Garbhodaka ocean. So it was in the Netherlands, the earth was there. And Lord Varahadev, when he appeared, none other than Vishnu, so he appeared in the form of Lord Varahadev, and he picked up the earth on his tusk. And then Hiranyaksh came to fight with Lord Varahadev. At that time, Lord Varahadev simply placed the earth on the waves and passed on his potency to earth, so the earth was floating. So Lord can do whatever he desires. So here Lord Krishna, he passes his potency of his strength to King Revat. Now King Revat, feeling this strength in his body, holds the mount on his one hand, and it starts hitting the mountains with his other hand, the second hand. And he is able to take this mount and place it in another region, which later is glorified as Dwarka region in the ocean, part of Vaikuntha. So on this earthly planet, part of Vaikuntha is appearing as Dwarka. And there, on this mountain, which is also known as by his name, King Revat's name, is where Nṛga Kupa is there. And it is said that, if one performs devotional service, performs yajna at this place, gets hundreds of millions, 1,000 times more blessing by performing. And just by hearing this pastime of how King Revata brought Medhavi Muni, who appears as the mountain in Dwarka, and how the king appeared, the King Nṛga appeared as lizard, one gets purified in consciousness and gets amazing blessings from Lord Krishna. So again, one is able to realize that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, able to understand that we as spirit soul have the purpose, which is Jivera Swaruphoya Krishna Nityadas, we are eternal summit of Lord Krishna, and thus engaging in the service of Lord Krishna. It is not to just satisfy Lord Krishna. It is for our purification that we engage, that we chant the holy name, that we engage in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, in the association of devotees and so forth, that we are able to experience peace at our heart and the transcendental bliss, which is beyond this world. So this is transcendental scriptures. Srila Prabhupada's transcendental ecstasies in these scriptures enable us to experience the transcendental bliss that comes by engaging in devotional service. Hare Krishna. This is where the chapter ends, and even Lord Krishna is instructing his family members to engage and be very careful not to engage in devotional service and not to upset a Brahmana. not to touch a Brahman's property even by mistake. So the chapter ends, and please join us for Nrsimhadev prayers. Hare Krishna. Do you like to share something else? Hare Krishna.
विनाशक नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा।